Good evening, everybody. I'd like to open the July 20th Economic Development Committee meeting to order. First on our agenda this evening is Dylan from Soil and Water.
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, that's right.
Good to know. If I did bring paper, apologies for the paper.
Oh, we have lots of trees still.
Soil
and water gives them away in the spring, so we'll get more.
Take them down, pass it around. You gotta put this way. Do we have enough there?
Thank you. Yeah.
Paul, do you have one? Yeah. One of the Dylan's reports? Oh.
All right, well, getting into it on the second page of this document, just overviewing the return on investment the county is getting with the district. And here we have 11 years of data, level of county appropriation, and the amount of unique implementation funding secured by the district. So, at this year, as of today, we've secured $1,053,000 for implementation projects, largely on farms to help them be more viable and efficient and improve water quality. And just pointing this out because it's that time of year when we're preparing our budget for the County of Columbia. We are going to be requesting level funding for next year and wanted to quantify this return on investment the county's getting. And I'd like to,
while you're on,
yes.
What year did you take over?
I took over in 2024.
Don't see where the numbers went. Let's help you out there.
Thank you. No, I wish it went further back because Laura and Steve did a tremendous amount of work.
I sat on the board over there for years before that, so I know. But
and so I'd like to dive into that the past couple of years and some of the active contracts we have, how they're benefiting our community, and just as a little context on that next page that says background. New York State's not very food secure. Based on Cornell research, we produce enough food to feed about a third of our population. We're losing farmland at twice the national average rate. Columbia County is losing farmland. It's hard to quantify that, but the ag census data does show that we are losing farmland. At the same time, while we need farms to support human life, farms present water quality conservation opportunities, right? There's a lot of disturbance of soil, a lot of inputs, and that's especially important in Columbia County because most of our water drains to the Hudson. I think we all know that, but what a lot of people don't understand is the amount of people that drink water out of the Hudson River downstream of us. 107,000 people are drinking water out of the Hudson River. Yeah, schools, hospitals, houses, and they're drinking our runoff. So it's how we manage the land here has that impact. And so that's really the two things we're working at in soil and water: improving water quality, helping preserve our food security. And to go over a few projects that are doing that, starting with Hofer Farms, beautiful family farm in Germantown. They have 30 cow-calf pairs. They practice really beautiful rotational grazing in the summer. In the winter, they have challenges. They bring the cattle home like most farms do. And there's erosion, compaction. It's a management challenge. They need to get the cows off the pasture because they'll pug it up. But here we have a management challenge and a water quality improvement opportunity because just downhill of this situation is a tributary of the Rolla Jansen. One cow produces 120 pounds of manure. So 6 months of 30 or 40 animals in one small space. You get a water quality improvement opportunity there. So we worked with the farm for 2 years to develop what's called a nutrient management plan. And that makes them eligible for funding to address this. And then we were able to use that to leverage state funding, and we were awarded, the farm was awarded $207,000 to construct an improved barnyard system. So this is going to keep those cattle dry and healthier. They're going to put on weight faster, and it's going to control all that runoff. and treat it in kind of a leach field situation. So all that runoff's going to get piped and treated in a grassy patch the same way private septic systems do. It's being engineered by Crawford and Associates right now. It also includes like a covered feed pad, and a manure stacking area. So right now, all this farm's manure gets full of rocks. They scrape it, but it's earthen barnyard, so there's rocks in these manure piles. And then the farm can't spread it on its hayfields because it'll damage his hay equipment in the hayfield. And so he has to buy commercial fertilizer. So this project is going to keep that manure clean, contain it on a concrete pad, and allow him to collect it, spread it. So there's all these layers of benefits for the farm's efficiency and reducing costs and improving water quality. And then moving on, another project I want to highlight is the Dogwood Farm project. Similar kind of operation, but they grow vegetables as well and pasture-raised turkey. Their challenge is around summer management. So they have a 50-acre pasture that they can't get water to. The well has run dry already this year, and so the farm lets the cows in the stream. It's what any of us would do. You gotta get water to the animal, and this creates an environmental challenge. And the management challenge here of not being able to get water distributed in this pasture is all that manure, or that shiny stuff you're seeing, right, isn't getting spread around that pasture and contributing to the growth of the grass and legumes. So you're losing that fertilizer opportunity. So also uneven grazing, the cattle are just hanging out down here by the stream instead of being distributed in the pasture. So invasive species are coming in, the farm has to brush hog often. So if you can turn to the next page, we have a schematic of our project. And this is an aerial view. You know, down by that creek, that blue line is where the cattle are hanging out. And what we did is we dug a pond. We're using a small solar kit, a couple panels to drive a solar pump. We're going to filter the pond water and pump it to distribute it around that pasture. So that impact gets spread out, that manure gets deposited evenly. And we're also building an access road and fence. So this was awarded last year, but we're building it this year, $71,000. And it takes a long time to figure this project out. If you flip another page, you'll see a picture of some ponds. There was no water in that field. So we found a wet spot. You know, we dug a hole and we washed it for a year. Does it fill up with water? What does it do in summer when things get dry? And that test hole signaled to us it's a good place for a pond. So that just in May, we dug a 50,000 gallon pond, and it's already halfway full. You know, this was taken a few weeks ago, so it's probably fuller than that by now. By next spring, we'll have next to this pond a dry well, which will take in water. It'll be very clean by the time it's in the center of the dry well. From the center of that dry well, we're going to use the solar pump to spread the water around the pasture. So again, it's marrying those two things of water quality protection and improving farm management. We have our cover crop project. A key one this year is our Make It Multi-Species project. We were awarded $617,000 to work with 8 large producers to help them adopt what's called a multi-species cover crop. This is a water quality opportunity because a bare field, like what we can see in this picture, can easily lose tons and tons of topsoil. So topsoil on an acre of land is the width of a penny. Topsoil on an acre of land is the width of a penny. So it doesn't take a lot of rain to lose literally tons of topsoil. It might go into the creek, and then you have the municipalities trying to treat that sediment-laden water downstream. You're losing something that helps you grow food. So it's an issue environmentally and economically. And so these cover crops, this is a different field, by the way. It's not a true before and after. But you know, on the bottom, that's one of John Kukon's fields, and that's not a commodity crop. That's just holding together the soil, reducing compaction, adding nitrogen, and a huge carbon sink. Like I bet there's 5 tons of carbon being sequestered per acre on a field like this.
So what do you plant? What are the species that you planting? What are they?
So this is a very diverse mix. So this is sorghum grass. He's got turnips, radishes, and then also legumes. So maybe like a crimson clover in there. But for us, to be a multi-species, to get that funding, it needs to be at least a grass and at least a grass with a legume or a grass with a brassica. Just those two together can provide a lot of environmental benefit. And so the brassica, what it does, those big radishes, is they salvage nutrients. So any nutrients applied to a field that wasn't picked up by the crop that year, though it'll wash away. Nitrogen's very volatile, so that radish is going to hang on to it. It's going to fill up with it, hang on to it, and the next year it's going to be available. And those.
So what do they do? They till it all up or?
Yeah, they kill it into this, incorporate it into the soil. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's a great practice. And then if you go one more page, we have a local cover crop program that serves our smaller producers. This year we secured around $50,000 or $60,000, and we had 21 farms apply to our local cover crop program, and every single one we were able to award funding at a rate of $144 an acre if they were doing the multi-species. So it's reaching watershed wide, a lot of farms, and it's very streamlined for the farm to get that support. We go out, we verify it, we map it. And then quick highlight of our municipal assistance program. It's a growing program. Just this past July, we finally implemented the removal of water chestnut from Town of Canaan's municipal pond. Took a couple of years to get this off the ground because of permitting, but this pond was inundated with water chestnut. Soil and Water secured $6,000 for the town to hire a contractor to remove it. This really slick looking machine here. I don't ask me how it works, but
It's like fun to play with.
it's like
With a bucket?
Is that from Brothers?
no, it's from Jim McNamee.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we used it again.
Yeah, he was great to work with.
Yep.
Yeah, a great project, improving water quality, getting the cases we should know. Just a couple more for the district this year. We also have this equipment rental program, which has become incredibly popular. It provides equipment that's hard for most farms to access. We own it at the district, and then we share it with farms. So farms don't have to make that huge purchase of a $40,000 no-till drill. They can borrow one from the district. So we have a 10-foot no-till drill. And so far, it's been to 13 farms this year for 260 acres of no-till seeding in total. And just a couple farms that are using it and speaking to how important this is for their operation, Hoffman Valley and River Valley. And we hope with the county's support maybe and finding us some storage space, we really want to build, we can get the grant funding to get more equipment and more farms in this way. We want to get a lime spreader, another kind of no-till drill as well. And gosh, my copy, I think your copy has something about educational programs, right? Well, thank you. Yeah, so we have a wonderful environmental educator named Leanna O'Grady, and she's so far hosted 187 programs this year. So she does more programs than business days. And it's so impressive. And they're all at, assisted living facilities, Head Start, Family Resource Center, high schools, middle schools. They're all free, and they're connecting people with the outdoors. She's built a real network in Columbia County, and it's booked up for months. And we also, just related to this, we also sponsor our local Envirothon teams. Is anyone familiar with the Envirothon competition? It's a regional, state, and national competition, natural resource learning and problem solving. And so we sponsor any team, school in Columbia County that wants to send it to the Envirothon. We sponsor them, pay for their dues, and kind of help them prepare. And the team of Hudson won regional competition this year. Last year, they got second at statewide competition. So it's a wonderful community program, and Leanna O'Grady, you know, you'll probably see her at your municipal summer camp, getting kids in the water. And that's just a sample of what we're up to. You know, we're about to submit our county budget proposal next month, and thank you so much for their support. And we're putting your money to good use.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions about projects or what's not being met by the district or what you'd like to see more of?
Just what do you feed Leanna O'Grady to keep it going?
Yeah, I don't know. She goes home, she runs. I don't know.
The mobile station.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
Chairman Scott, may I just comment?
You may.
Thank you for paying respect to your predecessor, Don, but you've really breathed new life and new energy into this soil and water district, and we're very grateful for all the work you and your staff are doing. You're really knocking it out of the park. So,
Thank you. And Denal sits on our board and is a great mentor and she's got a raise coming now. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, next up is Lisa from Cornell.
Hi, and I'm going to have my colleague Becky Palmatier, who's our deputy director, join me. Excellent presentation. We work a lot with soil and water, and Dylan is absolutely wonderful to work with. He shares some of the research that comes from Cornell, so there's a lot of crossing over. It's very important that cooperative extension and soil and water always have a good relationship. So we are here tonight to kind of talk about, so I'm now in my 5th year and Becky's in her 16th year. So, and I've asked her to stay for another 11 years till I can retire. So, I just wanted to share with you what we've been doing and how it's going. And I will be putting forth a request for an increase. I've checked in with some of you ahead of this meeting, but I just wanted to share what the $515,000 that we currently receive from the appropriation does for us. In 2012, before the two counties merged, we're at $555,000. So we're at $515 right now. If you turn to the first page, you'll see how the appropriation is being distributed. So with that, you'll see the percentages that go to 4-H development, both in the number and the percentage of the budget that we receive. Community horticulture, that's when you guys in the hall get your fun vegetables. Admin, as you see, that is rather low because we offset with other contracts and grants. Then you see our agricultural program, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about that. And I just want to clarify, so Eastern New York Commercial Horticulture, those are the researchers that provide the growers, the commercial growers, their evidence-based research. And I have a few details on what they've been doing. They came last year this time and they presented what they're working on. And then the Columbia County Fair, we've analyzed it for the last 4 years, and it costs us about $30,000 to produce everything. And that's really Becky and the various teams. Becky lives at the fair for about 3 weeks. So that is how that distribution of the funds kind of work out. So when you look over to the right, you see what else do we do and how do we bring in funds to operate our organization? So I think it's important just for understanding, for folks to understand what our other streams are for Columbia County. So Taste New York sales, what is that? Well, we run a store in Greene County, but we purchase a lot from Columbia County. So last year we purchased over $150,000, and you'll get a little more detail on that. Ag and Market, that's the admin for that contract to run the store. So that's how it reduces the admin to the county itself. The New York State 224, I'm going to go into that a little bit, but that's what pays for about 60% of Becky and my salary. So it gives us the flexibility to try to bring in additional funding, as well as go out and do, like Becky right now is doing some SNAP Ed education, 4-H education. I'm doing the same. It kind of keeps us engaged and able to try to find more funds and be flexible. This summer, we received some of the last of them, unfortunately, the SNAP Ed funding, and we've done 70 classes. We're not as cool as Dylan, sorry. But just this summer, 70,
Well, in about
There was like 70 classes in all fairness in about 6 weeks.
Okay, so we're toe to toe with Dylan. And that's been at places such as Krellin Park, Hudson Youth Center.
Greater Hudson
Greater
County
Hudson
neighborhood, actually, the youth clubhouses, they're doing it together at the Catskill location, but Hudson's coming over for it. We haven't done them yet, but we're gonna go to all the senior nutrition sites.
So I'm going to Galvin Motel on Friday. So there's a lot that's going everywhere across, and that's money that Becky and I secured through the final funding within the state. We have our Dyson Foundation funds, which I'll talk about. Smith Lever, that's one of the things that articulates. So 224 is what makes Cornell Cooperative the state land grant. That's the articulation between Department of Ed and Cornell. And then the Smith Lever is the federal side of that. So we get 12,000 a year, but the university gets millions, and that's the money that goes to the research that helps with on the side where, like Dylan referenced a fact or two from Cornell. That research, that evidence-based research, applied research is from there. And then there's some other folks. So this is just two ways to look at the status. Some people like a pie chart, some people don't. So then when you turn the page, and over the years, what we keep hearing are the three programs that the county and the community loves the most, or H. So actually on that number where it says 1,000 children, youth, it's actually 1,500. I like to be able to correct up. So our manager came back and was like, no, we said 1,500. So 1,500 youth or in some way engaged in the county. And if you think about it, it's a pretty substantial number where there's 6,000 youth that are in public schools. So it's a good amount of the youth that we are connecting with. And when you can see specifically some of the very interesting and cool things, and these are those future farmers. So we want to retain, keep in the county, educate them through place-based learning, hands-on learning. There's a lot of wonderful clinics that we do. And so that's something that we're really, really excited about and proud of and want to continue to be able to do more of. On our community horticulture side, those of you who come in the fall to the meeting, don't miss it. That's when we bring what we're growing in our garden. Right now, we did 101 calls from the community of what is this? It's a lot of someone brings something strained in a bag. It's a mystery day. It's a bug. It's a plant. What is it? What's it doing? And they get back to them. We've done 56 pH soil tests, and we're out and we ran a lot of wonderful programs this year. So there were 17 specific, just educational. That's like maybe at HomeQuest or Chatham Berry Farm. But we also hosted a spring gardening day. We did Seed to Supper, where we taught 11 people or 12 people graduated the program. We taught them for 6 weeks as a Cornell program how to grow their own food in our garden. We took folks to the Philadelphia Flower Show. We do our holiday wreath workshop. We had a seedling sale. Fall gardening day is coming up. So there's a lot of things that we do for the community that are at low or no cost. We also gave 189 pounds of the produce that we grew last year into the food security system of the county. And we are continuing to do that this year. This year we're doing our vegetable trial is on Mediterranean species. So it's a really fun item. So you guys are gonna get some excitement later in the season. In agriculture, so I'm going to pass out 2 sheets. One is the federal census information, which is, I'm splitting it, which is 2022 data. So it's before Dylan rose to his role. So he has really built a lot when you look at what was happening then to where we are now. So this page, the front page, this what you're looking at is a snapshot of the 22 ag census. So there were at that point, there were 444 farms. 24 were doing no-till land use, which is very important for soil preservation, and as well as what Dylan was just speaking about the contamination of the water and tributaries. And 18 farms are doing cover crops. And I guarantee you, since Dylan didn't get here till 2024, that these numbers, when we get the next census data, will even come up. And then you see your farm stands. We work with those folks, organic growers. Then there's the breweries. You're like, what is this doing to breweries and the wineries and distilleries? They've been visiting them socially. That Eastern New York commercial horticulture money, they're going out, and as well as our partners in Ulster, they're going out and they're looking at their crops, they're looking at their viticulture, just going and meeting with them to help them, because those are high yield commodities, and they're helping them look at their soils, look at what other inputs they might want to do that will help them to be successful. So kind of exciting news for you. You might not remember this for 2022, but $7.7 million were made out of county in equestrian, which is kind of exciting. So in 2022, $111 million was sold of commodities from this county. And that's exciting. And we want to, as like to back up Dylan, we want to continue that. It's a very important part of our identity, our ecology, our economy. And so what we do really matters to keep that happening. The largest crops that come from the county were apples, berries, and peaches. And dairy was huge. I'm not looking at anyone specific, but everyone else's. However, so there was 29.4 million in 2022 in dairy sales. And I did a whole sweep. I did a sweep. So then if you turn it over, I think a lot of you may have met Ashley. She is our ag educator who also works with Catherine from Ulster. We share time with each other because our budgets are so tight. So these are some, this is a snapshot of where she's been out to this year. She's visited a lot of different farms with different types of commodities, both with our IPM specialists from Cornell, as well as going out with Christian Maltasowski, who is a grain specialist. He's going out to all of the folks here who are looking at doing, so for example, if you're looking at the grains and the production that's happening in the field crops, he is a researcher at the Farm Hub, which is in Ulster, and we get him for free in exchange for us training their folks in agroforestry. So we do this little kind of thing to help swap and, use your money as effectively as possible. And then there was rabbit clinics and paid programming. Now the second sheet, can we send that one around? Yeah, so this is exactly what that 67,000, this is a little breakdown. And last year, Liz and Chuck came, and these are some of the farms where we're doing research to help people learn more about storage and different pests. So it's very exciting. So you'll see some of the folks that and there's some upcoming classes and classes that were actually the berry one had to be canceled because there was low enrollment, but these are going out and doing twilight programs. And these are some of the folks, this is where that money is going. So Ashley works with these folks and with others. Any questions? So those folks and our ag educator are helping our people. When you look at that Chase New York number, that 156,000, these are some brands you guys should recognize. These are our Columbia County brands. And if anyone ever knows more, in my signature, the application is there, and I'll help anyone to get into our Chase New York store. That store, though it is not located in this county, last year we spent $156,000 purchasing from these companies. And then that comes right back to everyone to help with the agritourism.
Yeah, and then they actually are on site at the Columbia County Fair.
Yes, at the Columbia County Fair, we do sampling each year, small samples, and then show people where their stores are. And sometimes Jim from Basilisk is always very generous. So you should come check out Chocolate Day. It's fun. That's always fun. Cider. They have a new cider this year. So it's a way to help amplify what our agriculture production is. So back to that New York State 224 funding. Why I want to share this for you is that it's a really interesting dynamic relationship. So if our appropriation ever went down, which it has gone down in the past, as I had talked a little bit about, our 224 funding goes down. So that 102,000 that we get would go down. If our appropriation goes up, we might get a tiny increase, but there's 6.1 million that goes across the entire state. There's 56 of me in the state, and it's distributed by your ag census. So if we are able to lift up our appropriation sum to support our agriculture, our community horticulture and 4-H, those are the programs, and have more funding at that baseline, this number is held in a strong space and can move up a little. If it goes down, it's a double whammy. So I don't know if anyone else has that kind of a fund structure, but we do. And we didn't set it up. Another great thing to know about us is we are absolutely no burden on your benefits and fringe. Almost $700,000 value is what you have because of our relationship with Cornell. You don't pay for our retirement. You don't pay for our health insurance. Our staff all pay into it some, but it comes from our Cornell cooperative relationship. Who knows what a master forest owner is, and if anyone had a visit at their property? If not, I'm signing everybody up. So if you have more than an acre, this is a program that's free to people in Columbia County. We've trained 27 people in this county who live here. They've done 22 visits of 1,000 acres in the last year, where they go out and they talk about forest health. They can also talk about commodities people might want to grow. They could be looking at agroforestry practices, such as ginseng, or looking at mushroom possibilities or looking at what kinds of plants they're gonna grow. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And that's a real great value. And that's a Cornell program that's delivered here for free. We also offer a parenting program through Dyson Foundation. And last year we had 51 families. Those funds go to support those families staying intact, connecting with each other and learning better skills and improved skills for their parenting and relationships with family, as well as anger management, reducing stress. And we do a specific program just for adolescents. If anyone has people to sign up, usually they're good. Any questions on those? So when Cornell was formed, just for everybody's remember, it was human ecology and agriculture because they're combined. The human ecology, the whole side of the why we do it, when we learn, how we can learn how to change our behavior so that we can make better choices, so that we can teach people, how to grow things better, how to cook things better. And that's why Cornell, people will say, well, why are you guys in those spaces? Well, because human ecology and agriculture were the foundation of the organization across the country. And then how do our volunteer hours matter? Well, New York State identifies that it's a $39.50 hour value for every volunteer you have. So when you look at the numbers, and these are volunteers, we're training them, they're going through 6-month training courses, they're being constantly re-educated on their content area. So we had 4,257 hours of volunteers in the county. They're those 4-H club leaders, which Supervisor Scudder refuses to do again. Just kidding. Master gardeners, the MFO program, and our board of directors. So our board of directors is running our organization with me and Becky to keep things going. They're volunteers. So that's really important. So for the money that you give us, the $515,000, we're giving back. Isn't this nice? $258 for every dollar we give you. And what we'd like to do, and we will be writing a letter to Mr. Gregg asking for an increase of $85,000 per appropriation baseline. And essentially the goal for that is to bring the people up who are in that mid-level. Becky and I, over 5 years, have worked very hard to bring really strong staff in and retain them. We have a strong ag educator. We have a very strong community horticulture. We have very strong 4-H staff, and we want to retain those folks and able to bring them up to a base standard where then we can continue to bring in the grants that we do, but we have to have that baseline because the grants and contracts are 6 months, 1 year, and that cyclical nature, we can't float full-time wonderful people and then we lose them to other counties. So are there any questions from anyone about what we do?
What was the number you looking at?
An $85,000 increase.
What's Swell and Water? What do they want?
We're requesting level funding, which right now is $446.
So how are they gonna get it? Deputy,
They request them, it goes to the budget committee and
I understand that.
when we figure out what other programs we could cut to give people more money, then we hash it out. These are challenges, but I certainly can speak and say that I appreciate everything that Cornell does. They do some wonderful programs. Money's always a difficult situation. We'll take it to the budget committee and see where it goes. But before we diverge from there, I did want to go back and ask a little bit more on Taste in New York program. I was here when that all started and Cornell was asked to run that, but can you explain to me real quickly the finances of that other than you're buying product from local people, but
Yes.
how does that work now? I forgot.
So we receive a $425,000 grant from Ag and Market. And with that, we employ 10 full-time people at the store, a manager and a coordinator, 3 of our administrative staff, our finance manager for the whole organization, our association administrator, and our communications manager are paid about 40% from that grant. That's why our admin can stay low. And then what happens is they run the store, and then we have 2 other staff who 7% and 6%, they go out to the farms and try to get the ag producers or the homemakers who are doing things to bring their products to market. We give them free education and training on production, sourcing, stretching and testing their products through Cornell's processes. And so we do a lot of educational programming. We host several events a year. So we'll go out to say one of the farms and if they're having a challenge sourcing something, they go back to Cornell. I can give an example of Kernville Milk, wonderful company. they had a packaging challenge. So we were able to talk with some of the folks up in Geneva, and they were able to talk to them a little about what was happening to keep that, give it longer shelf stability. So that's how we kind of help the local producer talk about what else is happening in the market. Dell's is a new one that we have. We joined with them last year with their ice cream, and it's been a wonderful success. So it helps to bring the end game of agriculture to the economy and then spread and amplify, because once you get into the store here, it's very easy to go into one of the other 14 stores that are run by Cornell across the state. But there are also stores like in Grand Central Station, run by a Chamber of Commerce. There's stores that are run by different entities than us, but we run 14 in the state. And the people that work there also, it's a really great thing. They get the health insurance and the retirement plan. So for folks who maybe don't have the opportunity to go on for a higher professional degree, we do a lot of professional development with them. And then after 5 years, they too are got into that retirement system. And we have 3 staff who've been there since we started the store 8 years ago, who've stayed. Retail's hard like that, but yeah, and they have.
I remember it being a real challenge to develop,
It can be challenging at times, but I think we've got a great team in place now. And what we've learned is the partnering across with our growers and our developers and our producers more brings more of that amplification. So we have a program almost once a week where there's one of the producers, because they're from all over the state.
but is it beneficial for the producers to actually sell their wares there? I mean, how is that working out?
So that's working out really good for them, because if, let's say we bought, 5,000 pints of Dell's ice cream and it doesn't sell, they still made the money. And we waste it out, and it's shown as an educational prospect to the state. And we show what marketing happened, or the price point. So they learn about their own price point challenge they may have, or maybe it's wonderful and we sold it and we sold out. So we're in ice cream month right now. And last month was dairy month. So each month we have a theme, and then it helps them to think about their marketing. So if they don't sell well, like last year we had a huge, in years prior, we purchased more from the county, but last year, because of the tariffs, we had a 50% reduction in traffic on the thruway and into the Taste of New York store. So it helps them to get marketing advice, amplify what they're doing, learn about. We've also helped some folks, I think on here, 1 or 2, without saying who, we've helped them with their logos, where their logos may have, and sometimes your logo is really wonderful in person on your product, but not so much so on social media. So they get free education from us all the time. And so, yeah, and if it's a loss, it's wasted out, and it's never anything. So it's rare that we won't sell all of Jim's candy, but if we do, he's so bad with money.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions from anybody?
I'll continue my platitude. Lisa is everywhere. There's such great program, and in the Century State space, the Columbia County Fair is fantastic. But
Yes.
as she's mentioned too, we have a children's garden at our summer camp in the town of Chatham, and the lead was vacating, and I called up Lisa, and the next thing I know, we had 2 people there for the kids for 6 weeks. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We're loving it. Last week, the big win at your camp was catapults. We taught children how to make catapult stuff. We did it. Went over very well. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
We're letting Becky leave because she has to go to the Green County Fair. You guys get me in September this year.
Next is, EDC.
We switch the order a little bit and have Chris start off first.
Oh, sure.
We don't have music chairs.
Well, why don't we start with, introduce yourself and then all the supervisors.
John Stompanato. I am eventually replacing Mike Tucker. Yeah, I've been for this for a couple more months, so he'll be here next week and blame him still for at least 60 more days.
You're to be sure that I don't get caught all the things I didn't get done.
I'm here to find it.
Chris, you didn't send me, is it part of the?
This is the part.
Did you have anything to, no, okay. Sorry.
Okay, and does anybody have any questions about me or my background or anything like that? No, good. Okay. Turn it over to Chris. We'll get a housing update.
Oh, wow, okay. I won't bury the lead. The big news is, what, next week? I think next week there will be a further conversation between CEDC and Pattern to keep me around for 1 more month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so until the end of August. So this is April, May, June, July, and August. So a 5-month exit strategy.
Right.
So some of the things that are just about to hit the tipping point. So I'm glad I'll be here for another month. I'm going to start with the land bank. If that's all right. So the land bank has a couple of transactions that are pending. Its first 3 acquisitions, 2 parcels that are adjacent in Germantown that will be selling, that the land bank will sell to Habitat to create somewhere between 5 and 10 affordable homes. And then the mill in Valatia. That's going to be a demo and then an infill. We actually are grabbing a little bit of extra acreage from that parcel or to add to that parcel so that it's eligible for more state funding programs. It was like about 0.2 acres short. Last week, some big movement in both of those regards. The state sent the most recent disbursement request to the land bank. So the land bank can now pay some invoices that will trigger the ability to close on those parcels. So the land bank might be buying those as early as the end of this month. The mill will put an RFP out for demolition. Hopefully that'll be down before it starts snowing. It would be great to have it down by Thanksgiving. Oh, down in the south. If you wait long enough, yeah. There's a cheaper way to do it. It just takes a little bit longer, right? And then the Habitat parcels, Habitat will purchase those from the land bank essentially the same day the land bank buys them from the county. And then Habitat has already done a bunch of their due diligence, and then they'll look to next year's state funding sources to get houses up. So hopefully by the end of next year, there will be some capital projects happening that come out of the land banks. Bivouac, I guess, or bailiwick. The housing task force, so still ongoing. I'm still, kind of managing the housing task force. We're still meeting bi-weekly or bi-monthly, excuse me. There are 2 new working groups in the task force. One that's focusing on, one that's focusing on housing toolbox. So that was one of the biggest requests when we first started the housing task force. It's something for each town and village to have in their hand. What can we do locally about housing, zoning, and policy and program wise? We are adapting a toolkit that Nan Stolzenberg, which I think a lot of our towns are familiar with Nan's work. We're adapting something that Nan put together for the towns of Northeast, Millerton, and Amelia back in 2022, 2023, and we're just going to kind of right size it and then make it appropriate for Columbia County. The other work group is working on the next piece of my little presentation here. So the grant that the county won earlier this year, I believe it was announced at the end of February, to do this countywide survey of where all the abandoned properties are, matching them up with funding programs, talking to the owners, all that. We received a contract from the state for that, and they pretty much gave us an open date. They said, the effective date is whenever you get this back to us, take your time. So next week, we're having a meeting about how to send out the procurement request for that, whether it's an RFP or if we just can break up the scope of works that we don't actually have to issue an RFP and just solicit multiple vendors. So there's a lot that is just about to tip over. I'm glad I'll be here for some of it because I really don't want all this to happen as soon as I was out the door. So I'll get to claim some pieces of it. And then the vacant rental improvement program, which Repco has administered on behalf of Columbia County, sort of. They're operating it in, I believe, 7 of the counties of the Mid-Hudson Valley region. That is still open. That's still accepting applications, and it got funded again. So that looks like something that's just going to keep rolling on. So between the abandoned building study, the land bank, and the vacant rental program, the idea is to create a pipeline of properties that can come in through the land bank and then back out as rehab affordable housing. The value add there from the land bank is that there aren't really state programs that allow you to do such scattered housing, 2 houses in this town, 3 houses in that town. There's just really some funding for that. The land bank funding is really flexible, so the land bank can help out. And then hopefully, since they're fairly small projects, we might be able to get some charitable contributions too, that we don't actually need to go out and get more state money on top of what the land bank already has. I think that's all. Housing task force land bank.
I think you covered it.
Yeah, that's right. The big federal news last week was that the bipartisan Road to Housing bill passed without a signature, so that is now law. There are some good things in there. It's not as cool as they want you to think it is. There's no new money. So there's a lot of regulatory relaxations in there. There's, support for missing middle housing without any financial support. This is kind of, support. We think this is a good idea. But it's helpful. We're in a better shape at the national level than we were at this time last year.
Great.
Okay.
What's gonna happen at the mill?
Demo and infill. Yeah, so it'll get knocked down, then it'll get cleaned, and then it'll get prepped for development, which basically.
We'll market it to somebody that will build on it. That's the idea.
Yeah, the idea is to try to get a shovel ready. A lot of land banks across the state, ever since the Supreme Court decision where they can't actually profit off of selling foreclosed properties, have really pivoted to not doing rehabs or new builds on their own. They just get a site ready. So they get sites, they get that site ready for the next person to come in for development, which is what we're doing with development. Oh, that should be a pitch. So the land bank will
Are you
have.
looking for more money too?
No, I'm not asking for more money. I actually have extra money. The land bank's gonna have, I wanna say about $150,000.
So there you go.
That's in the it's only for acquisition. So if anybody's got something that they would like the land bank to take a look at, the big value adds there or something that is in really bad shape. Yeah. Are there any buildings in your towns, that are in pretty bad shape? that
Yeah.
Could use some intervention, and you know who the owners are, and they're not in Hudson. So the land bank can spend money in Hudson, but it can't own property. So there's still potential there. But yeah, so there's gonna be a little bit of money, probably one potential building acquisition, or probably you can get away with multiple small lots for that price. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Okay.
No, I think they're holding applause for you.
Oh, that's.
What's that? Is that enough or do you want? Okay. We'll move on. Commerce Center land transfer. So the two authorizations that we submitted pertain to that. Basically, we needed to redo the authorization so that it could accurately match the acreage. So now that it will, then we'll be able to proceed.
We did this last month, right?
We-
Right?
yeah.
Okay. That's the same thing, but different.
Yes, exactly.
When we first brought it to you, we had anticipated selling an acre of land, but when we were able to get the surveyor involved, he was able to find 2.47 acres. So we upped the price and figured rather than have the title company have to look at one resolution and an amendment to the resolution, we just ask you to redo it.
Yeah. So
And we also are asking you to review the authorization or the direction to CEDC to hold the money, transfer from the IDA to CEDC, because that also said one acre.
same resolution, different figures in it.
You got it.
So that's our Commerce Center land transfer.
Yeah, it's okay.
And we did submit it to the authority budget office in April so that
So that it was not.
Right.
90
So you
days
had it on
before
the, you had it on the books, yeah.
it'll be on their books before they adjourn for the year.
So we need a
For
motion.
So I'll make a
resolution,
motion to move that resolution. Is there
Second.
two resolutions?
All's in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? And another resolution authorizing the chairman to direct Columbia County IDA to transfer sales proceeds.
I'll move that one too.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, so that's not an amendment. So what did we do with the last one? Is that one just getting scrapped?
just figure one out, yeah.
Yeah, just replace the
Yeah.
other authorization.
So who's the third?
So is it
party?
gonna be the same resolution as,
No.
just a new resolution number? You don't have a number up there.
That's because we don't assign them.
They don't get a number until full board.
That has
Right.
to be approved here and then it goes to finance and then it gets a number.
So who's the third party?
Columbia Tent, it says that in the resolution. Columbia Tent owns the property. There's no road frontage to this land. This is land that is doing a lot line adjustment to expand their parcel. But they're not getting any additional road frontage. And it's really, it's not saleable to anyone but them because the county owns the remaining property that is adjoining.
It's just inaccessible, contiguous property.
It came as a result of one of the tenants in the Commerce Center owners complaining that this prospective purchaser had outgrown the site that they were on and they were in fact on county property. So rather than go and chide them for putting things over the lot line, I asked.
So just sell it all the way.
Sell it to them. Again, because the way it's backs up against the airport and the wetlands, they're not getting any road frontage, they're just getting additional area behind the site, and they're gonna put a 20,000 square foot building there, which will create jobs. And
So who came up with the price?
we did a, analysis, there's an analysis in the, based on an appraisal that had been done a year ago. And we took all of the assessed values as a chart in the packet that, identifies.
Your packet, it's very detailed,
Yeah.
about 13 pages long.
That's right.
And then, because we had to, do an estimate of the fair market value. We came out at, at $84,000, but it was discounted because there was no road frontage and it was landlocked, using a 25% discount, which we used which we came up with not only using, AI, but talking to 2 appraisers. You know, right?
You're thinking, well, since they were the only possible buyer, you could have charged more. You could have added the 25.
No, how
It's
is
always
this done
been-
here?
Yeah.
And help with Lisa's budget, right?
Right.
Trying to do this.
Appreciate you guys.
The real winner here is the 20,000 square foot building and the new jobs.
Did you need to go through any of the other documents or no? Okay. Then you had a couple of.
Yes, Brownfields update. So as folks might know, we had a Brownfield call last week. Brownfield Initiative is an EPA-funded grant that Greene County received, but they had to expand because there's not enough density there for the number of potential projects. We're partnering with them, and Hunter Foundation is also a partner. And phase 1, we basically kicked off last week. The work started beforehand, but we had a public meeting. It was not a hearing, just a public meeting so that we could generate a lot of awareness about this so that people can contribute. One of the big challenges is getting good information. A lot of these buildings or sites are very old, and a lot of them, we don't even know where they are. So the first call to arms is to please tell your constituents if anybody's interested. I'm sure you all have some real estate busybodies, is let them know about this project. They can go to our website to read about it. They can go to Greene County's website, which is where there's a form on there they'll be able to find from the homepage. And it has a whole bunch of questions. All they really need to put is an address. There's some other areas where if they happen to know the parcel number, the tax ID number, things like that. But as long as we get an address or an approximate address or even a description, then we can start doing what they call phase 1, which is like desktop research to sort of figure out factually what some of the contaminants might be in order to justify moving into phase 2. So we started that, went well, and we've got about maybe a dozen properties identified already, but we're hoping to add more. And then it kind of works like school building assistance. We've got a list, and then every year the EPA will tell us how much we've got, and you move up, you move through the priorities. Those that were reviewed in scope 1, and they said it can go to phase 2, I'm sorry, move them up. So that program is off and running. And then we've got the broadband and micro enterprise grant updates that Mike asked you to
Yes,
give us the updates.
we are continuing to work with the Connect All office on the broadband build out. They did go ahead into the next step in the last 2 weeks, and they're moving forward with contracts to providers. I think we reported it at a previous meeting that Archtop Consolidated, or what are they called now?
Fidium.
Fidium. And Starlink had applied. It appears that the Starlink sites were all in New Lebanon. Because we never took off any of the Canaan or New Lebanon addresses that hopefully might be financed by the USDA grant that the town of Ghent is still assisting with. So we don't think that people will actually end up with Starlink. At the same time, we've been working with the Connect All office on the $120,000 grant that CEDC was awarded 2 years ago. I think we reported previously that we moved from the scope of work and have, which was really how to implement broadband. We felt that that was somewhat of a waste of resources, and we've asked them if we could use those funds to do studying cellular service. And The initial study is complete and we're in a position to request the first $60,000 on the grant for the consultant, and we used the same consultant that we had used for the broadband study. And we're now in the process of submitting a second scope of work for the remaining balance of the fund. And obviously, the issue is, I saw articles recently about fighting locations of cell towers. You supervisors have all been in that situation. And I know we had an outreach from the town of Taconic, and I copied the supervisor on our really a response that we really don't have any additional information at this time. And keep in touch with Jonathan on this, and we will keep you updated as more information comes out. But the fact that they're really on the broadband side moving forward with the providers that bid on the sites and were approved by Washington for the funding, I was a little upset when the state made the announcement for fear that someone in Washington may see that and say, oh, they're going to start using that money, let's cut the money, but it didn't happen. And on the micro enterprise grant, I think you have the update.
Sure.
Great.
So right now the status is we're in application period for the third round of funding. The deadline is July 31st, I think. And that's about 460,000 technical assistance grant. So there's not much more than that to tell you, but we'll be able to keep that program running. So this will be the third version, the third iteration. So it's been pretty successful. And we've signed a contract. That's about it. So that's our agenda items. If there's anything else anybody wants to go into.
I missed one. But I actually don't know that much about it. I think you know more about it. Blue Spruce.
Blue Spruce,
So-
they closed.
They closed for their pilot. Yeah, so that's going to be
51 units.
51 units.
At a price point that they've said is, I think,
1450 is the
14 or
average.
50, which would be incredible for any county in the Hudson Valley region, but especially us.
They're all about 650 square feet.
Yeah, they're actually, but
No, the smallest ones are, right? And that's the average?
Yeah.
The average, they said was 650 average square feet and 1450 average. So there'll probably be some deviation.
They're basically not taking, that is the motel that's going to be
Yeah, I know,
converted.
but what's it gonna be converted to?
Apartments. Just apartments, yeah. Workforce.
Studios.
I think there's already 30 there.
Yeah.
yeah, in the back, yeah.
So they're adding another 51?
No.
So they've got 30 that
Total.
they're gonna keep and they're gonna convert the motel rooms. Sorry.
So who's doing that?
Up from
Green
Albany.
Spring out of Saratoga.
Is that right?
Green Spring. Brian
Private
Green.
developer, yeah.
and I don't know if he has a partner next spring.
Spring.
But it was a very, it was a record. They came to see us in March.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
And they wanted to purchase it. We held they submitted an application to the IDA. We processed it. We held a public hearing. And I don't believe anyone, the supervisor was there, and
He provided me all the good spreadsheets on it, so
yeah.
then I had all the answers, so I
And,
was happy, yeah.
You know, we got questions again on the backlog of financing and how it was structured. And, you know, basically the fact that, the way the units are configured and their size is going to dictate that they're affordable, which in and of itself is not, tells a story. They're gonna be at that price because they're basically a motel room that's being converted into a studio, in many of the instances. But it's, the IDA did get a $70,000 fee, which is helpful because, the last,
Of course, now the area needs a hotel.
yeah. But I think as the supervisor pointed out, a lot of the third of the units were already
Right.
Apartments.
And I would assume if the hotels were going well, that they wouldn't be doing this.
Right, no, right.
You've been trying to sell that for a
The,
while.
the short-term rentals have taken over the hotel business.
And two other items, just so that you guys know what we're up to with the Friends of Park Square in Hudson, the city of Hudson. We've submitted for them a letter of support for a grant. So we only will submit letter of supports for grants unless there's a special circumstance the board would like us to do otherwise. And also for the town of Canaan, they have an application into the state for smart growth community planning program to support their zoning initiative, upcoming zoning initiative. They just finished their comprehensive plan. So we submitted that as well.
Good deal.
Good.
Any more questions?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Check your time, you were much better than I was. Don't ask for money and get out.
Yes, we didn't ask for money.
Business to bring before the board.
Oh, yeah, here, I'll leave this here.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. How's that?
There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Give me one of those flyers.
Have a good night, everybody.